Hello YouTube, this is Lanchnik Gaming here today. Sorry I haven't been putting too much content up. I know my last video was in the past 5 months, but I've been working so much, getting 40-hour weeks, it's been non-stop for me. However, soon I'll be having my vacation week coming up in a few weeks, from June 4th up to June 10th. I will be finally be able to put some content up on my channel on that, and this will be also followed by tonight on every Wednesday and Friday. I'll be live streaming on my twitch.tv channel since Nick 2015. I will be doing that, playing ASI 3 and whatnot. So yeah, be ready and look forward for new content coming to the channel. So today, what I'm going to give you guys is a review of the Tier 7 Soviet Premium Tank Destroyer, the SU-122-44, or otherwise known as Stalin's Hammer. Don't take that quote from Jingles, or he'll kick your butt just like he almost kicked mine. Oh well, back to the 122-44. This is one of the older Soviet tank destroyers that was in the game, starting from patch 7.5, I believe it was. So, this tank destroyer has been around for a long time, and I mean a very long time. When I started in the game, when I got up to tier 7 with my T-29, here as an example, I would face these tanks regularly. And this tank destroyer is absolutely a lethal weapon when you're in a heavy tank and you're facing off against one of these things. It's because of this gun right here, the 122mm D25S. And so that's what this tank destroyer is about. And it's also got good armor and whatnot, but I'll get to the gun and the armor in a second. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit of the history of this tank destroyer. So, the SU-122-44, or to give it its Russian designation, the Samkonaya Ustanovaka 122-44, or Self-Propelled Installation 122-44, was basically designed as a prototype during the later years of the Second World War, designed in early 1944. The SU-122-44 was based on another tank in World of Tanks that I'll show for reference, and it's this tank right here, the T-44. What was done with T-44 to make it become the SU-122-44 was the turret was removed, and it was built with an iron casement. And with that iron casement, the big 122mm D25S, or rather its actual designation was the D25-44S 122mm gun, was put into this tank destroyer as a test bed for future development of our tank destroyers. And what was different about this version of the gun from the IS was it had a special gun breech added, and this gave it a better rate of fire. And with that, that's where this rate of fire comes into play in the game, and it also helped out in real life. This tank destroyer never saw combat, and it was canceled and not put into production because one, it was deemed too heavy, and yet this tank destroyer is very fast. But I'll get to that in a second. But it was deemed too heavy, and it was canceled in favor of the next tank destroyer at tier 7. If I can find it. There we go. Actually, there it is. The Samkonaya Ustravoka 101, or the Euromash 1, or rather in World of Tanks is known as the SU-101, because this was designed to have the fighting compartment in the back and have the engine in the back. And so this was designed to be the better version and was put into production. The SU-122-44 was never put into production. It was only one prototype built, and that was it. And I don't know what happened to that prototype. I don't know if it was scrapped or it could be in Kublika. I don't know. So anyways, with the history of the tank destroyer out of the way, let's get on to what it is like in the game. Well, in World of Tanks, this tank destroyer is one of the most deadliest tank destroyers tier for tier. With that 122mm gun, this thing, no lie, is comparable to tier 7 to tier 10 tank destroyers like the Object 268. And yes, that is tier 10, and this is 3 tiers below at tier 7, and this has a better damage per minute than that. I know, but it's it's one good thing about this tank. When you get it, for me, I went with the 50% crew, and I'm just starting to get my 100% crew started up in this thing. Because of course I always go with 6 cents and repairs for my all my tankers. But anyways, I'll get to that in a few minutes. So anyways, we're gonna talk about the tank and such and the stats of it. So firepower, of course, 390 average damage, but it can go higher or it can go lower with this gun. Most times you can roll 400s and it's really good. Penetration's the maximum is 175 millimeters with its regular armor piercing. However, this tank does get armor piercing composite rigid, but it only goes up to 217. And you will be facing tier 9s with this tank destroyer. This does not have a premium, this does not have a special matchmaking. This will see tier 9 games. Its rate of fire I have for it is 8.69 rounds a minute. And yes, if you can see the perimeter modifiers, that is a medium tank gun rammer, not a heavy tank gun rammer. But I'll get to that in a second. Reload time is 6.9 seconds with my crew and such. I believe the regular reload was 7 or 8 seconds before you get the modifiers in. Its gun traverse is 27 seconds, and it's not bad. It's pretty good. The gun depression, I'm not going to get into that department too much. 4 degrees. It's a Russian tank destroyer. It doesn't have too much good gun depression. Gun traverse, 8 degrees. It's not bad. Its aiming time is 2.78 seconds, and that's pretty good. It's pretty good for that effect. And the dispersion or accuracy at 100 meters is point three nine, and its average damage is 3,390, so almost 3,400 damage. That's why it's comparable to tier 10 heavies and even tank destroyers. So with the firepower out of the way, let's talk about its armor and its survivability. It gets 840 hit points, and some people might be asking, that's kind of slow for a tank destroyer. But with the other tier 7 tank destroyers, such as the SU-152 and the SU-100 or the SU-100M1, their hit points are closely to the same. I'll show you the details. If I remember correctly, it was its hit points. It's 870. Its third. The SU-122s is lower by 30 points. Then back to the SU-100M1, it has the hit points of 830, so 10 less than the SU-122. And with other tank destroyers like the US's T-25AT and the T-25, those are around the 840 range as well. So this tank is with them. So it's good with its hit points. However, this tank destroyer has one crucial feature that T-25 has, but most times the T-25 doesn't have a hope on this. No offense to it. I haven't played the T-25 yet, but I know how good the tank destroyer is. But I will show its armor. This tank destroyer has 90 millimeters of frontal armor, and it's sloped back. And with that slope, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's at a 45-degree angle. So with that, this tank has an effective front armor of 135 millimeters, and you can bounce around with this tank. Yes, and I have bounced ONIs, OIs, and the occasional T-29 and Tigers. And for its side armor, 75 millimeters, it's not bad. Lower tier guns like 76 millimeter or up to 88 millimeter can bounce off, but the 75 millimeters is not sloped too well. If you can overmatch it, you'll go through. And the rear armor is 45, but Yeah, you really sometimes with how fast this thing is, you rarely see the rear of it unless you get very lucky. But in general, the armor is pretty good. Even though it's only 90 millimeters, you will bounce shots from time to time with this tank destroyer. It is very good, it is very low profile, and you will really tear up the enemy before they have a chance of getting a shot back at you. What are his weaknesses, however? Good question, I'll answer that for you. You see right here is his lower plate. If you can get it into a position where you can see its lower plate, take it. It is not as well armored as the front armor. However, the front armor does have weaknesses. See right there that machine gun port, or rather not, or the gunner port. You put it around right there, it's going to penetrate. You aim here as well, you are going to penetrate as well. Under no circumstances, try to aim for the front right here at this angle, unless you know that your gun's going to penetrate right through this tank. Because if you were to fire this tank or fire at this tank, you would bounce. Even with 105 millimeter, you have to get extremely lucky for it. But on top of it too, the gunmanlet is spaced armor, and it will bounce rounds from time to time. That's how good this tank destroyer is for its armor. So now with the armor out of the way, I'm going to move on to its mobility. And with its mobility, its weight load I have for it, its weight per ton, well, its weight is 33 tons. It has a 500 horsepower engine. It's got a specific power of 15 horsepower per ton, and gives it a very great speed of 47.5 kilometers an hour. I really am not too good with my kilometers an hour. I believe that's around 30 to 35 miles an hour. And the traverse speed, this is what makes it different from most tank destroyers. The traverse speed, since this is based on a T-44, its traverse speed is 43.81 per second. This, or rather 43 seconds, close to 44 seconds. This tank destroyer is basically a medium tank in disguise because of its traverse speed. If you get circled around like a Type 59 or even something like Tier 7 like a Comet, you can keep up with it since it's basically a T-44 and you got a good gun with a rate of fire. You'll be able to circle guys with this tank, and anyone who circles you, that would be a great mistake, unless if they're driving something like a scout tank, for example, T-71. But that's how good this tank is. It's basically a T-44 in disguise and is very fast. Concealment, I do have my camo natacores to keep it stationary because I consider this tank a tank destroyer and as a silent tank destroyer. Sometimes I will turn this thing into a heavy tank because really though it kind of is one. And then spotting, it only has 330 meters view range. It's not really the best, but it is a Russian tank destroyer. You can't have everything. And a 700 meter signal range, you can upgrade that when you get like birds and arms and whatnot, but 700 meters, it's not too bad for its tier. So anyways, that's my that's my garage review of this tank destroyer. I do have two replays where I get ace tanker badges in this thing. I will get to those in a second, guys, and on to the first replay. Alright guys, welcome to the first replay in the review of the 122-44. So, for me now, this is a Tier 7 match on Live Oaks. And so, I can tell I'm top tier. There's no enemy Tier 7 heavies or anything, this is all tank destroyers. And so, what I do is, since I know that with this match, I can do pretty good in Tier 7, I decided to do something insane. So I type in chat that I'm gonna go crazy, I'm gonna go into the town. And so I basically say I'm gonna do something stupid, I'm gonna go into heavy tank mode. This tank destroyer can basically become a medium/heavy tank with the armor. So what I do is, I start off, I'm going into the town. Now, I don't know why the D-25 decided to fire a random round, and he fires it again. I don't know why he's just trying to waste ammo or something, I don't know. That could be someone just doing whatever they want. So what I have here is a friendly Sherman with a 105 millimeter. He does get in my way and such, but I don't get too mad with him in that. But all I was just trying to do is just trying to get a town. So and he accidentally gets in my way, and I just brush it off. So, anyways, Live Oaks, you head in the town. I know heavies will mostly go in there. They have good armor and very good guns. For example, like a T-29 or even up the tier 8 like the IS-3. But for me, I decided to give it a shot, thinking, well, I'll see what happens. So what I do is I get up to I'm getting ready to head up to this corner right by the water tower and the building right there. And luckily I'm not spotted. So what I do then is I get ready to get lined up, and then I have a friendly Panzer T-25, which is another premium, which was a tier 5 German premium that I believe is still on sale. So I'll get, so back to the video, I don't want to worry about that. So my first target I spot's KB-1S. He gets ready to come around, so I move up. He's getting ready to turn around. So he comes around, terrible side scraping. Hit his fuel tank, set him on fire, and I do 66 extra damage to him. And he's using the 85. I finish him off, and that's my first kill of the match. I already did 600 damage. However, we have an enemy SU-122. I aim, I fire, do a low roll. He hits our guy, KV-85. I have a good reload, and I finish him off. I've already done over 1,000 damage. So what I do next is there's an enemy VK-3601H. He's using the 75 millimeter. And so I come around right on him, and I spot this enemy on forward. What happens is I fire, I hit him, and he's using 75 millimeter. But he's got me at a very good angle. He's got the gun depression. He's hitting my lower plate. And I try to keep it down. I try to aim it, but he hits my upper casement there as well. But then I finish him off and get the kill. Sherman hits me again, and I'm up to 2,000 damage after I hit the KVD or the VK. Then I start on the Sherman, and he's just bouncing off me. So I fire one round, I ram him, he hits me again, but I finish him off. And that's my 4th kill in less than a few minutes. So I'm already done 2,000 damage. And so I keep moving, but then the FE-304 hits me hard, and I'm trying to find him. And so, anyways, our artillery gets hit. So I keep moving. I'm worried about that Panzer SFL, but I didn't realize he was on the other flank. So, anyways, then I spot all 3 of the artillery. I kill the FE-304. Then I aim for the other artillery because he's running for it. You know, something to give it a shot, and I can damage him. I kill him. Then I get another reload in. I'm getting ready to hit this Panzer 4H. But then the OI experimental with his, I believe it was the 100 millimeter, finishes home before I have a shot to go for number 7. But that's my top gun for the match. And so I killed 3 artillery in the match, and that's where I get my top gun. And this is where I do my final damage of 3,154. I do take an effort to try to get more damage in, and I try to look out for the artillery. However, we have an E-25 down there who goes balls to the wall, and the rest of the team's going there to help out. And I do take a crack at the SU-100Y, but unfortunately the round will miss. But in general, this tank, even though it's been hit a few times, some of those rounds did bounce off the gun mantlet, and I was able to do a very butt amount of damage with this tank. This tank is a very good example of a good rate of fire and good armor sometimes if you can angle it right. I was doing everything what I was supposed to try to keep it angled, but with their gun, with the 75mm and 76mm, they can easily go through. So I just went with it. Then I take this crack at this SU-100, hoping I could shoot. Fires, but I miss, so I couldn't get the kill on him. So basically, my part of the match is over. And so, with this tank, it's a very good tank, good gun, whatnot. And I'm looking for this FE-304, but then the team just finds them faster than I can. And then this basically is the end of the match. 6 kills, 3,154 damage with this tank. Very good result. And it turned out to be a very good match, in my honest opinion. And there goes the E-25, rams him on. I was like, wow. So that's the end of the match there, and I'll show you guys the replay in 1 second. Alright guys, welcome to the next game, and this is the example of matchmaking that I despise sometimes. However, this turned out to be a very good match in my favor. And yes, this is a tier 9 match with a tier 7 tank destroyer. In this match, I outdid myself because during this set of games I was playing, I was not having a very good time of it. I was having matches where I do damage, but unfortunately the teams would fall apart before I had a chance to do anything, or I got no help. But this match was different. Like I said, tier 9 match, tier 7 tank destroyer. I decided to go north and see if I can find any targets and take out any enemy tanks all along the way. So what I have come with me is Scorpion G, tier 9 Jagdtiger, T-71. The scout tanks, the T-54 lightweight, and a T-71. So we decided to move up because all the heavy tanks are going down south, of course, because that's heavy tank alley. But unfortunately, with the new patch to swamp, or rather patch ongoing swamp, it's no longer protected. That tank destroyers can hit anyone from this sector right here. So I just decided to go in the general direction with the guys here, and then we see some scout tanks coming on. It's a WZ, I believe it was a WZ 132 maybe. I could be wrong though. I believe that's what it was. I think it was. Hang on. Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, WZ 132 was the first one spotted, and then the SU-122 spotted down south, but he's not a threat. So I'm staying here and just in case if the scouts spawn anything, I could just start firing at people from range. So then they start moving up, and then I decide, well, I'll decide to move up as well. So then I start moving up to this little rock, as you can see right there in the replay. And then our T-28's complaining that there's no scouts for help or anything. And then we lose one of our T-71 to the VK-4503. So then, once I see them, I start moving up. I go into the low ground here. I go into the low ground for a reason. There's no tanks that have a shot on you when you're going down this way. 4503 gets hit by artillery. And then I'm under the guns. And then I get the spot of the VK-4503, which is the Tiger 2P prototype. Put a round in him doing 363, but he puts a round in return. This really didn't make me too happy because I was getting ready to kill him and I just yelled at him like, "Come on!" I wasn't happy at this point. But then I decide, well, it's only one hit. I can deal with it. So then I move up, and this team, we were down 3-4, but this team comes back, and basically I kind of consider this a carry now with my tank. So then, what happens next is I'm moving up this section, and I don't want to get spotted by those heavy tanks and medium tanks. Then I get a little bit of bad luck. I have the SU-101 come up on me, and he's using the 122 as well. No, actually, he was using the 100. So I decide to auto aim. I aim at him, fire, and I hit this guy for 408, 18 damage over my 390. Spot the artillery, but he's running for it. And I'm down to 313 health, and most of the tanks can one-shot me. But our two scouts are absolutely destroying the artilleries in it. And the Crusader SP, yes, drowned himself. And I couldn't explain why. Then I see this tank, the Type 62, and I heavily damage him in his turret. He fires around, he bounces off my gun mallet. I fire another one, but I miss. But then all of a sudden, this enemy AMX M445 comes around, and he's getting ready to hit our man. And so what happens is he rams into the AMX 445 by mistake, and then I start pounding rounds into the M445. And he's trying to get around, but the IKV comes around, and I'm down to a one-hit kill. And I get down to low ground. He does, and I don't know why he couldn't finish me off. So what happens is I aim. I hit him for 382, he comes around, he's getting ready to finish me. Then I ram him, and I'm still alive, doing over 2,000 damage in this match. And I'm down to 41 health. Yeah, couldn't finish me off, and I killed him. I couldn't believe my luck. Then I see the Jagdtiger. And then I see a tree fall, and I believe this was the 1390. For some reason, my round decides to miss, and I had him let on. And then I reload again. He comes around on him, fire, set him on fire, and finish him off doing 400 damage to him. So now I'm up to 2,600 damage in a tier 9 match with a tier 7 tank destroyer. And of course that's my second kill. But unfortunately the Yag Tiger kills the Object 252U. So then I move up, and then I see the Tiger 2. I don't want to get killed at this point, but I was like, well, 2,000 damage is good for me. Now, the super version has no shot on me, and he's just fighting the T-54 lightweight. And it's just me, the Yag Tiger, the GW Panther, and the 2 scouts. So I go down here hopefully, so I don't get killed by this Yag Tiger. But the Yag Tiger is actually moving up to where the Tiger 2 was, and the T-26E4 was as well. And so I'm now trying to stay hidden so I don't get eliminated from the match and killed. So, anyways, then the super version gets spotted. Then our scouts have a go with him and they finish him off. And actually, it wasn't the scouts that killed him; it was the artillery who had a very good shot. Then the scouts, I believe it was the 54 lightweight who didn't realize it in time. So I back up, and then the scout spots both the Tiger 2 and the Jag Tiger, and they both erase him in one shot each. And I felt bad for him. He had 3 kills in the match, and he was like damn. Then I put 1 round into the Tiger 2, getting a high enough damage roll to finish him off, doing a 414. Now, the only tank scouts left is the T-71, and he only has 3 health left. So I'm going in there, even though I have 41 health left, and I want to help him. And so the Yag Tiger is moving around, and this guy had a hell of a match. Unfortunately, it was only 1 sheriff in the town, and that was me. He fires his shot and he misses. And then I auto-aim, put 1 to the side, doing a high 405 on him, and he knows he's finished. So I get ready to aim another round, then it hits the track and it doesn't bounce, or rather, critical hits. And then I just put the gun barrel right in his butt and just pull the trigger, doing a full total of 3,615 damage in the match. And yes, 3,600 damage of a tier 7 tank destroyer in a tier 9 match. Yes, that really happened. So that's the end of this replay, guys. And yeah, that's my review of the SU-122-44. Very good tank, very good gun. It can be a very good threat in matches from tier 7 all the way up to tier 9. I hope you guys do enjoy the content that I put up today, and I hope you guys have a nice day.